Welcome to the fourth and final installment of our No-Sew Quilt Craft series. I'm Mindy Turner with the Curry County Cooperative Extension Service, your family and consumer science agent. So we've been talking about, how we just love quilts. Everybody, they make you feel warm and they have that heritage tie and they're historical and all the great things that go along with that. But some of us may not, whether it's due to space or not having a machine or just all the different reasons and the way life happens, don't get to sew or don't know how to sew. So here's some things that we can make and do that still have that quilted feel, but are a different type of craft. We can use up our scraps. We can make inexpensive gifts that are still homemade and we can make them fit the theme and whatever it is that we want to tie that to. And just being able to take that time to kind of relax and build something, put something together. So we are going to use this, it's a value to our pocketbook, but also to our mental health. So today we're going to talk a little bit about putting a quilt square onto other fabric. Now, we're not going to do any sewing. You could do, they call this even like a low sew type craft, because you could sew on the other end if you wanted to, but you definitely do not have to. So some of the things that you might think about, tote bags are this is a great way to dress those up. You could do a hat. How fun is that? We see hat bars and all kinds of cool things popping up. Why not have a quilt square on your hat? We're gonna do a shirt here in just a minute. You can also do this on just a plain piece of fabric and frame it out, like we talked about framing our barn quilt squares earlier. So just having something, you can hang it on the wall, you can wear it, but it's got that quilty feel to it, and you can kind of dress things up. So again, I went through and just found what we had for scrap fabric, what we had on hand. I did go purchase some new fusible webbing, specifically because what we had has been around a while and I haven't tested it all out. But this is one of those things, because it is an adhesive, that over time it can break down. So if you've had some stuck up in the closet, you might test a small piece before you 100% commit to it, just because it may not adhere as well as we would like. But so when we talk about fusible webbing, and that's what we're going to use in place of the sewing part. When we talk about fusible webbing, there's all different types out there, things that you can purchase. You can buy it by the package. Comes in the package, so this is here in a roll, where you can just roll it out. All the instructions are here. You can purchase smaller, these are fusible web tapes that you can use to do smaller parts, to hold things down, to do edges. Some people use these for hemming garments and items, again, if you don't sew. So that's something you can think about. All you need with fusible web is the web, the fabrics, and an iron, because it's just gonna be a heat press. Or you can purchase it, this is what I purchased, is actually off the bolt. So when you go to wherever the fabrics are sold, they will have a bolt that is fusible webbing. There's different brands. This happens to be Wonder Under, but there are others out there that you're gonna have them cut a piece for you. I got about a yard. This is how much I have left from what I'm gonna show you here in just a second. The important thing when you do purchase it off the bolt is the instructions are around it. So when they lay it out and cut it, you're gonna get this and these flat instructions. You're gonna wanna keep these because there's a lot of good information on here. Tips for how you use it, important things. Does it need to cool before you peel it? Do you need to have the iron at a certain setting? How do you care for it after you've used it on a garment? So those are things that you're gonna wanna make sure that you have on hand. Some of us maybe take a picture of that with our phone so that we can save it and have it for later, but I do recommend that you hold on to your instructions in some way. So there's a couple different ways you can apply your fusible webbing to make what's essentially gonna be our iron-on to go. So you can, and this is actually on the instructions for this particular brand, this is how it tells you to do it. You take your piece of fabric, the size whatever size that it is, go ahead and iron it to your fusible webbing, okay? So there's a rough side, that's what's actually gonna form the adhesive. That's where you put your fabric, wrong side to that. Then you have the paper side. Now I can take this square, you see just this fun green 4H fabric, if I wanted to make a clover, if I wanted to make a heart, whatever shape, if I wanted to make an M for Mindy, whatever shape I want to make out of this, I'm going to draw it. Remember, invert it. It's going to have to be backwards, especially if you're doing letters. Cut that out. Then when I peel this off, I have a customized iron-on out of my fabric. Okay, so you can see I've done, I worked with one of my kiddos to do some of this, so because they're working on some projects to put that together. And so those are just ready to trace, cut, and then you'll be able to peel the backing and iron that down. For my quilt square, what I went ahead and did, I had picked up just this is just a plain old black long sleeve t-shirt. I know it's really hot right now. We don't want to think about black long sleeve things, but fall is coming. So if you want to do a Christmas design, if you want to do something for your school, okay, maybe we want to be Grady blue or Texaco green, or get those buffaloes on there with our burgundy, whatever that is, you can decide what you want your pattern to be. You pick your quilt square and your fabrics. I was going through the fabric stash to see, and honestly I figured I would make kind of a Christmas shirt. Because we had some Christmas fabrics here and there. But I came across a bundle of fat quarters. Typically you can pick up fat quarters pretty inexpensively. They come either single or sometimes in a bundle of coordinating fabrics, which makes it easy. You don't really have to think it through, right? You've already got things that match. And so I came across that, and it had these great fall, there's some scarecrows here, this great yellow with the leaves, and then some greens that blend in with that. So I thought, well, we could just have a fall shirt because we had those things on hand. So I just kind of picked a very basic strips and squares to put together my quilt square. And I'm not sure now which way's the top and which way's the bottom. I cut my strips and my square and I laid them out on my fusible webbing, directly on that fusible webbing, and then just ironed it down. So when I peeled the back off, this is one solid piece with all of these. Some people, some quilters will do that even when making a quilt, just to have it all laid out for piecing and together. So there's a lot of different ways that you could use and do something with this, okay? And so I made this, again, it's a little larger. It's made to go on a shirt, kind of like that. You could make small ones if you wanted to do a cap, some other type of a smaller thing. So now I just peeled the back off. So now I just have, you can feel it on here. It's kind of slick. I don't know how much you can see, trying to catch the light to show it's a little bit shiny. And so now I can just take this whole thing and place it on my shirt, okay? I ironed that flat, but then I didn't get all the sleeves laid out to make sure where the middle is. So I can take this and crease and see where the middle is. Here's my tag. So that's gonna be the center and where I wanna lay it. Okay, then all I need to do is iron it down. So we do recommend, whenever you're using fusible webbing, to use a pressing cloth. If you just have a cup towel in the cabinet, that will work too, okay? But lay something over the top of it. Fusible web will stick to your iron and then you have to clean it. Typically, again, in these instructions, it will tell you how to clean your iron if you do get it on there. But it's nice if you can just lay out that presser cloth. Okay, and you can, depending again on the type you're using and how you want to do it, you can cut your pieces and then cut your webbing to fit and iron each individual piece and then lay it out. Okay, so different people have different techniques and how they want to lay things out and how they want to make it work. So again, the great thing about all of the crafts we've talked about for no-sew quilting is how you can personalize it to how you want to put it together, to what colors and fabrics you want to use, even as simple as what you want your finished product to be. So this now, we may have to, my pressing cloth was kind of thick, so I may have to just get my corners real good with the iron because I want to make sure that all of my pieces are stuck down well, okay? If you're gonna hang it on the wall, if it's not something that's gonna be washed a lot, if it's not something you're probably gonna wear, that's probably enough, okay? So now I have my square. If it is something obviously that I'm gonna wear, it's probably gonna have to go through the laundry, have to be done. A great way to finish that off, you can stitch over the top of it again, but again, if you're not gonna sew, you can use, this is just fabric paint. This is kind of the puffy kind, so you can make a line with it and just go over all of your seams, okay? Because the other thing that's gonna do for us is kind of seal up the edges of that fabric so that they don't ravel and they don't come off. So the paint will work, you can do it that way. Or, and what I will do with this one is add trim. So as long as you make sure whatever you have is machine washable. This blue is safe machine washable. It should stay. All of these interfacings and webbings. So I could use this thin webbing to put to my trim and then add it on there. So I, again, found a lot of different things in the bucket for potential things we could use. And I just laid them out on here and kind of looked and thought and tried out different colors to decide what I liked. Because the idea is once we put it on here, it's permanent. So you want to make sure you have a good idea what you're laying on there. So I did find this machine washable burgundy ribbon. Okay, that's pretty. That will be a good accent. It goes along with my scarecrows here, brings out some of that yellow. And I'm just going to take that, okay, and again, can use the fabric glue, put it on the ribbon and glue it down well, or I can use the other fusible webbing to put that on there. And I'm just gonna go over everywhere that there's a seam. I'm trying to hold this up without, let me cut a little piece. So that everywhere there's a seam in the middle and then around the edges. And it just really finishes it off. It gives it that pop of color. If I decided, I look at, well, you know, I really like that dark purple that's there in the scarecrows, and I could go look for and find something purple to put as that cover. This is great for rickrack, any kind of a thicker trim that you want to put on here would work well for sealing off your edges. So lots of fun projects, lots of things you can do and work on, even if you don't sew, to bring that quilting idea to life, to share with friends and family. I'm Mindy Turner with the Curry County Cooperative Extension Service. I hope that you found something that you can enjoy and get to crafting.